Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Somm Wine Guy, and I've got some wine for you. This is the 2020 McPrice Myers Pound for Pound Zinfandel, coming from Paso Robles in California. It's part of the October Somm Wine Club box, and a winery that I've actually visited. So I get to share a little bit more of a personal touch to this one. So I was in Paso in March of last year, and McPrice Myers was one of the wineries that I went to visit it. I was familiar-ish with the wines, because they were available here in BC, but I hadn't tasted a whole ton of them. And I admittedly had a little bit of preconceived notion bias about California Zinfandel and what it was going to be like. And so when I am poured a glass of almost 16% alcohol Zinfandel, I am expecting big, slathered in new oak, coconut and spices and cooked fruit, and I was wrong. These wines are not like that. Zinfandel is not like that. I know that Zinfandel is not like that always, anyways. Admittedly, it can be, but it is, I think, a beautiful grape, and it has a place, and it just has to be treated carefully. So McPrice Myers is a person as well as the winery. McPrice Myers, a self-proclaimed, self-described foodie, started his wine journey while he was working at Trader Joe's in Los Angeles, and his boss would come and open old bottles of wine, and they would get to taste them, and he really found a love of some of the interesting stuff that he got to try. So he started taking trips up to the Central Coast in California and visiting wineries and learning and tasting more things. That led to him producing his first wine at a Custom Crush in 2002, and then eventually starting his own winery, McPrice Myers, in I think 2014. So Pound for Pound is part of a series called Hardworking Wines. They are, again, meant to be approachable, easy drinking styles and expressions of varieties that kind of introduce you to the way that they produce wine. Zinfandel has reputation for being a bruiser, and this is not shy at all. It's, like I said, 15.6 alcohol. It's big, dense, robust fruit, but it maintains really great balance, elegance, and has refreshment. One of the things that I learned about Paso while I was down there is that they have one of the highest diurnal ranges, which is the difference between daytime temperature and nighttime temperature, of any wine region on Earth. It can swing 20 degrees plus Celsius from day to nighttime temperatures. So it was 20 something degrees during the day while I was there. It was -3 at night. Wild. What happens when you do that, grapes have all day in the warm sunshine to ripen, and then at night everything cools off. They shut down, they recuperate, have a chance to rest and regenerate, and they also retain acidity. So you can develop really intense, robust fruit flavors during the day, and then at night retain acidity and freshness. And that's what they've done here. Zinfandel can be a mix of different fruits because it is prone to something that we call millerandage or shatter, where it like ripens unevenly. You have overripe grapes, ripe grapes, and underripe grapes, sometimes on the same cluster. So when you smell, there is a little bit of prune, a little bit of dried fig, dried cherry, there's black currant, there's black plum, blackberry, and then there's also a little bit of underripe. There's some raspberry or some like underripe red cherry here. It's a little bit like a fruit bowl. You have just all kinds of different things going on. This is done in a mixture of third fill and neutral French and American oak for 16 months. So there's no new oak. Third fill is as close as you're going to get, and it adds just a very, very light touch of the oak character. It doesn't taste like oak. If you didn't know that it didn't have oak, you probably wouldn't even taste it. So I get a little bit of clove, a little bit of cardamom, but also some of that is variety. Some of that is just the way that Zinfandel expresses itself. There's mint and fennel and pepper and spices and flowers. I love this really kind of exuberant purple flower note that I get in this wine as well. said, that's not shy. It's like a big wine, but the acidity is there to help be refreshing at the same time. Like I can feel the alcohol, I can feel the weight and the density of the wine, but my mouth is not tired. It's not heavy. It's not overly rich. And I think that's a very challenging thing to do with such a dense and robust variety. Interestingly enough, Zinfandel is not typically super deep in color. Like if you can see this here, I can still see my fingers through this wine. Zinfandel has fairly thin skins in terms of color concentration. So if you're not adding Petit Syrah to it or Syrah to it or another darker skinned grape variety and you're not getting in there and agitating it really, really aggressively to try and pull out more color, it actually makes like quite an elegant colored wine. Just pretty is what it is. A wine that, again, benefits from serving just a little bit cooler than I think you would probably expect to. So don't serve this at room temperature. This is not a wine that you want at 18 or 20 degrees. You're just sitting on the counter, house temperature. Put it in the fridge, bring it down, serve this at 14, 15 degrees Celsius, because that will help minimize that alcohol a little bit. It'll boost the refreshment factor just a little bit and kind of make sure that this stays really well balanced. And then also you can keep going back to it instead of being like, oh, I've had half a glass, I'm pretty tired, I'm gonna go to sleep now. You just keep going with your dinner. Speaking of food wise, bold wine means bold flavors in the table, on the table. So think dishes with lots of flavor. You don't need to be worried about overwhelming this wine. You can go like fully like baked barbecue slathered ribs. You can do like chili con carne. You can do rich dishes. You could do like stews or steaks with mushrooms and red wine glaze. You could do like really intense flavored vegetables, roasts or grills. You can do kind of mildly spiced Mexican or Indian. The key there is to be mildly spiced because alcohol and spice will kind of interact a little bit. But if you keep it on the lower end and you're playing more off of depth of flavor and spice rather than hot in spice, then I think that Zinfandel is a fun and interesting wine to do with dishes like that. That's great. That's delicious. It's what I want. It's what I wish more Zinfandel was. And I'm really happy to share some gems out of Paso Robles because we don't see a lot of smaller producers from the region that are available up here in BC. So enjoy the pound for pound Zinfandel. Thank you very much, and I will see you all next time.